2018 has for the first time come to South African shores. The Department of Telecommunications and Post is playing host to the prestigious annual exhibition and forum. It aims to deliver economic development and foster social good through its exhibition for digital solutions and forum for sharing knowledge and networking. Let's now cross to the iNkosi Luthuli International Convention Center in Durban. Our SABC senior producer Siphumelele Zoni, who is also the host of the show Network Has More. A very good morning to you, Siphumelele. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the event is finally here. Talk us through what we can expect over the next 4 days.
All right, you are joining us in Durban at the ITU World. It's the International Telecommunication Union World Congress. With me, I have Mr. Siphumelele, who is South Africa's Telecommunications Minister, who's going to tell us what's happening here in Durban and what's going to be happening for the next couple of days. And the Secretary General of ITU, Mr. Luthuli. Hello, and thank you very much for joining us, gentlemen. And now starting with you, Minister Luthuli, what's going to be happening in Durban in the next couple of days?
Good morning. We're very honored to be receiving so many important guests in this ITU Telecom World, where government leaders and business leaders will be sharing experiences and how to use this digitization for better development of society. We'll be receiving close to about 7,000 delegates. And we're honored that His Excellency President Ramaphosa will give an opening address and welcome all these important leaders in our country. It is critical because we're in this verge of a huge revolution which is driven by the massive development in the information communication technologies, massive development in science and engineering, robotics, artificial intelligence, a massive development in new materials, which is changing the lives of everyone. So we hope that with this honor of being given an opportunity to host the ITU, we as South Africa and the African continent will not be left behind in this massive change and development for better humanity.
All right, so Mr. Luthuli, it's the first time it's taking place on African soil in South Africa, in the Southern Hemisphere. What took so long?
Yeah, good morning, Durban. Good morning, South Africa. My friend, it's a really great pleasure to come back to South Africa for our big event, because in 1998, ITU organized Africa Telecom in Johannesburg. Now, 20 years later, we are very pleased to come back to South Africa again, but this time come to Durban. And we noted that over the last decade or so, Africa has undergone very, very significant changes with as far as ICT development is concerned, as far as telecommunication is concerned. 20 years ago, I think that the African continent has lowest penetration of our fixed line telephones. And at that moment, I think that we talk about less than 5%. The whole continent. And today, it's very, very significant. We see our telecommunications infrastructure developed very rapidly everywhere. You see people enjoy new technologies, 3G, so 4G. We're talking about 5G. Minister is correct to some extent that in the past, we left behind the other continent, and we don't want to be left behind the others forever. But in my opinion, to some extent, Africa is leading new technology development. In particular, for example, mobile money. That is initiated from Africa. That is developing in Africa. It's appreciated by African people, but also appreciated by people everywhere in the world. So that innovation from Africa is also very significant. And we are going to have this event here with the theme, Innovation for Smart Digital Development. And we are very, very pleased to come to this country.
Let's unpack that theme a little bit, innovation for a smarter digital development. What does it mean, Mr. Zhao?
Yeah, innovation in the past, we talk about the innovation, the new technology from telephone to data, then the satellite, for computer communications. And these technologies, it's true that it's developed by big companies. But nowadays, with the mobile penetration everywhere, with internet connections available everywhere, particularly in the cities, and the young generation, can get very good knowledge about the new technologies. But how can we use the technologies to connect our people, to connect our local community? We need a lot of applications. And these applications are coming from where? And so in my opinion, it's coming from our local community, coming from a young generation, coming from small, medium-sized entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So this is a very rich source of innovation. And they can make a lot of difference.
Yeah. All right, just to bring you in, Minister, there. Mr. Shah was talking about innovation coming from locals, coming from SMMEs. In South Africa, one thing that's always been spoken about, which possibly stalls innovation, are high data costs. What's happening there, and how is that going to be improved in order for innovation to also improve?
Yes, we are really urging all our companies to work with us to reduce the data costs. And that's why end of last month, our cabinet led by President Ramaphosa has approved that we release additional spectrum to our telcos, which will be licensed by our regulator, ICASA. But the key element is innovation and ensuring that we have got more players. We allow more new talent to come into this space instead of having just monopolies or conglomerates. So that's why we're very happy that in this event, which is hosted by the Secretary General and the ITU, we'll be having big companies showing new technologies, the 5G networks and so on. But we also have SMMEs, which we have supported about close to 50 SMMEs to come from South Africa and the rest of the continent, who will be showcasing their new innovations so that they can have access to global markets. So it is that element of transformation to ensure that everyone participates. When we've got higher competition, we'll have the prices coming down. It is in that respect that we are very happy with this Congress to raise our
Minister Siyabonga Cwele, thank you very much for joining us. Now, that is South Africa's Telecommunications Minister Siyabonga Cwele and Mr. Hulin Zhao, who is the Secretary General of the ITU, as the opening of ITU World will be taking place here in Durban in the Chief Albert Luthuli International Convention Center. First, let's take a short break and then we'll be back with Simpe in the studio. We will bring you more updates on what will be happening here later as the day progresses.